The starport was always busy. Ships from hundreds of worlds came and went, carrying merchants, diplomats, scientists, and tourists. The air smelled of strange metals, recycled oxygen, and the faint spice of alien food. Lights flashed across the docking bays, and the loud hum of engines vibrated the floors. Humans had learned to navigate the chaos with routine, but today, the chaos seemed different. Something unusual was coming. Near the central docking bay, a small human girl stood alone. She was tiny, her shoes dusty and worn, a little backpack hanging unevenly on her shoulders. Her brown hair stuck out in several directions, and her big eyes watched the crowds nervously. She had been waiting for hours, hoping, wondering, and quietly hoping someone would notice her. The diplomats were arriving. From above, the massive doors of the starport opened, letting in a long procession of alien visitors. One group, in particular, caused the humans to pause. The Dracanthi delegation had arrived. The Dracanthi were legendary. Towering, winged, and covered in shimmering scales, they were both feared and admired across the galaxy. Stories of their battles against humans, their incredible strength, and their honor-bound nature were told in every spaceport. Among them was Ambassador Sarathshka, known to humans as the Dragon Lady. She was the tallest of the delegation, her golden scales reflecting the lights of the starport, her wings folding gracefully behind her, and her eyes sharp, scanning the room with intensity. Humans avoided her gaze, knowing even the smallest motion could be a test of courage. And then, as the delegation moved forward, the little girl stepped into the center of the docking bay. No one noticed her at first. She was just a child, alone, insignificant compared to the imposing Dracanthi. But she did something that made the entire crowd stop. She raised her small voice and called out, trembling but clear. I don't have a mom. Can I spend a day with you, Dragon Lady?" The words hung in the air. The Dracanthi guards froze. They had never encountered a human bold enough to speak directly to their ambassador. The human staff gasped. The diplomats whispered among themselves. Sarath herself stopped walking. The child was tiny, fragile-looking. Yet she had something no one expected. Courage. She had spoken to the most feared being in the galaxy, asking for companionship, not fear, not negotiation, not bribery, but a day together. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, instinctively, the guards reached for weapons. It was protocol. Dracanthi viewed humans as unpredictable. But Sarath lifted a hand, shaking her head. She stepped forward. Humans whispered that she looked angry. The Dracanthi delegation hissed in confusion. Sarath's eyes, golden and glowing, looked directly at the girl. And the girl did not flinch. The little human's name was Miri. She had spent years in the orbital orphanage, surviving quietly, unnoticed among the hundreds of children. Her mother had died in an accident when Miri was very young, and her father had vanished on a supply mission years ago. She had learned to live quietly, but today, she could not hide. Something inside her had told her that she needed something more, someone more. Sarath lowered her massive frame slowly, folding her wings carefully to avoid scaring the girl. She bent her head closer, her sharp, golden eyes studying Miri's small frame. "Why do you call me Dragon Lady?" she asked, in a voice that was soft, almost gentle for a Dracanthi. Her scales shimmered, catching the light. But her tone lacked the usual coldness. It was careful, curious, human. Miri shuffled her feet, gripping her backpack strap nervously. "Because everyone calls you that," she said. "And I don't have anyone else." The words were simple, but they carried more weight than any human diplomat could understand. Sarath had heard words like these before in reports, in propaganda, but never from a living human, and never with such raw honesty. The crowd around them held its breath. The station had cameras and reporters everywhere. Images of a tiny human girl asking the feared dragon lady to spend a day with her were being broadcast live across the station and into hundreds of worlds. Some called it bravery. Some called it madness. Some simply whispered, stunned, that the universe had never seen such a thing. Sareth's claws hovered just above the ground, careful not to touch the child. Her instinct was to maintain distance, as any Dracanthy diplomat would. But there was something in Miri's gaze that stirred something deep inside her. A strange, foreign sensation. Responsibility. Compassion. Something Dracanthy rarely admitted even to themselves. After a long moment, Sareth bent even lower, until she was level with Miri's eyes. The little girl looked up at her, not with fear, but with hope. And in that hope, Sareth felt something shift. Years of battle experience, diplomatic cunning, and interstellar fear melted away. "Very well," Sareth said, her voice calm, measured. "I will spend one day with you." The announcement rippled through the crowd. Gasps, whispers, and camera flashes filled the air. Humans muttered about how impossible this was. Dracanthy guards looked shocked. Diplomats whispered urgently to each other. But none of that mattered. The choice had been made. Miri's face lit up with joy. She had never imagined that a Dracanthy would accept her request. Never imagined that someone so feared, so powerful, could bend rules for a child. She ran forward, and Sareth lowered her hand. Miri grabbed it. The touch was tentative at first, a mix of wonder and hesitation. But soon, it became natural. Sareth's wings folded carefully behind her as she began to lead the child through the station. The journey was quiet at first. Miri chattered endlessly, asking questions about the scales, the wings, and the golden eyes of Sareth. The dragon lady answered carefully, each word measured, teaching Miri something about her species while trying to stay calm in the presence of cameras and witnesses. By the time they reached the station's gardens, Miri was laughing, running ahead, then stopping to look back at Sareth. The gardens were a strange mix of human and alien flora, glowing softly under artificial lights. Sareth had never seen a human so fascinated, so full of energy, so alive. And she realized something important. Humans were not weak. They were resilient, clever, and capable of joy in ways even Dracanthy struggled to understand. Miri tugged Sareth's claw gently. "Can I see the water fountain?" she asked, pointing to a pool with tiny glowing fish. Sareth hesitated, then bent low, letting the girl run ahead. When Miri leaned over the water, she laughed at her own reflection. Sareth watched silently, noting the courage in small humans. The courage to laugh, to explore, to trust. Hours passed. They walked through the station gardens, visited the library, and even went to the small observation deck where humans could watch ships, land, and depart. Miri asked endless questions. "Why do your wings fold like that? Do your people eat only raw food? Have you ever been scared?" And for each question, Sareth found herself answering honestly. She told stories of her battles, of planets she had visited, and of her species' rules and traditions. Miri listened intently, absorbing every word. And in turn, Sareth found herself learning about the small, fearless hearts of humans. But not everyone was pleased. Diplomatic aides began sending urgent messages to Sareth's pad, warning her that she was overstepping. The Dracanthy Council had strict rules. Ambassadors did not indulge human whims, did not spend private time with their children, and certainly did not risk diplomacy for affection. Humans, too, expressed concern. Some administrators whispered that this was reckless, that Miri should not be allowed such freedom. But Sareth ignored them. There was something more important than rules. There was Miri. By late afternoon, Miri grew tired. She leaned against Sareth's scaled arm, her eyes heavy with sleep. Sarath's heart, or something akin to a heart in her alien chest, felt a strange warmth. She had never felt protective before. She had protected soldiers, diplomats, trade agreements, but never a small, fragile human. Never for this reason. Never out of affection. Sarath lifted the child gently. Miri rested her head against the ambassador's shoulder, breathing softly. As they returned through the station, more humans paused to watch, and more cameras recorded the unlikely pair. Sarath ignored the stares. She focused only on the little human who had dared to ask for kindness, who had taught her something she had long forgotten. Even a warrior can care. The sun, or the artificial sun of the station, was setting. Lights changed, the bustle of ships slowed, and the station seemed quieter, calmer. Sarath carried Miri to her private quarters. She placed the child on a soft cushion. Miri yawned and curled up, finally asleep. Sarath watched her for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She wrapped her wings around Miri, creating a gentle, protective cocoon. It was instinctive, powerful, and careful. Nothing like Dracanthy tradition. Everything like care. And in that moment, Sarath realized something that would change her forever. A simple act of kindness could cross species, could cross centuries of conflict, and could change the way the galaxy saw humans and Dracanthy forever. Outside her quarters, whispers traveled fast. The Dragon Lady has taken a human child. She is ignoring protocol. She is showing compassion. The station buzzed with excitement and fear. The humans celebrated quietly, secretly proud. The Dracanthy delegation was unsure how to react, and somewhere, high above the station, a single alien diplomat had chosen humanity over rules. For now, Sarath stood at the window, watching ships land, Miri asleep in her arms. She thought about the child's courage, her own fears, and the strange new feeling that maybe, just maybe, humans were worth believing in, not just as diplomats, not just as survivors, but as heroes of their own story. The sun, or the artificial sun of the orbital station, was bright, warm, and inviting, reflecting off the polished floors and the metallic walls of the diplomatic wing. Miri stirred in her soft cushion, blinking up at the towering figure of Sarath. The Dragon Lady had not left her side through the night. Her massive wings, folded carefully, stretched over the child like a protective shelter. Sarath's golden eyes reflected the soft light, sharp and thoughtful, yet for once gentle. "Good morning, little one," Sarath said, her voice deeper than any human could imagine, yet soft enough to make Miri feel safe. Miri yawned and stretched. "Good morning, Dragon Lady." She paused. "Are we going to see more of the station today?" Sarath considered the question. Protocol said she should stay within her diplomatic quarters. The Dracanthy Council would expect her to attend briefings, submit reports, and meet visiting officials. But the little human in front of her had no such obligations. She had no agenda except curiosity, energy, and questions. And something inside Sarath, something ancient in her Dracanthy nature, stirred. "Very well," Sarath said finally. "Today, we explore, but you must listen carefully and not run off." Miri grinned. "I promise." The pair left the quarters together, Sarath carefully lowering herself to match Miri's pace. As they moved through the bustling corridors, the reactions of others were immediate. Humans stared, awestruck, while alien visitors whispered among themselves. A small human boy tried to hide behind his mother, whispering, "Is that the Dragon Lady?" "Yes," Miri whispered back proudly. "She's spending the day with me." Sarath paused. She had encountered countless humans, from soldiers to engineers, diplomats to children, but never one who displayed such courage, such honesty, and such trust. Humans were unpredictable, yes, reckless at times, but they also possessed a certain spark. Bravery, curiosity, and hope. She had felt it once on the battlefield, but never like this. Never in such a small, fragile form. Their first stop was the station's observation deck. From here, the swirling beauty of space itself was visible. Stars glittered like diamonds against the dark velvet of the universe. Ships of all shapes and sizes glided past, some docking, some departing, their thrusters leaving faint trails of light behind. "Wow!" Miri breathed, pressing her small hands against the glass. "It's beautiful," Sareth observed quietly. Humans were endlessly fascinated by the cosmos, as if every glimmer held a secret meant only for them. She had been among these stars countless times, studied countless systems. Yet seeing it through Miri's eyes made the universe feel new, alive, and vibrant. "Do you ever get scared?" Miri asked suddenly. Sareth blinked. "Scared?" she repeated. "Yes," Miri said. "Of the dark, of space, of everything. Sometimes I get lonely." Sarath considered this. Dracanthi felt fear, yes, but they rarely spoke of it. To admit it to a child, especially a human child, felt strange. Yet, the question deserved an answer. "Yes," Sarath admitted finally. "I feel fear sometimes. Even warriors feel fear. But fear is not weakness. Fear is a signal. It tells you to act, to survive, to protect." Miri nodded, her small face serious. "Like when I try to help my friends at the orphanage, even when I'm scared?" "Exactly," Sareth said. The words carried more weight than any treaty, any council decision. She had taught strategy and negotiation for decades, yet she had never considered courage in its purest form. From the observation deck, they went to the station's botanical gardens. The garden was a miracle of engineering. Alien plants, human designs, and earth seeds all growing together in a perfect balance. Light streamed from above, filtered to mimic the suns of multiple worlds. Water trickled in small channels, and the air smelled faintly of alien flowers and fresh earth. Miri ran ahead, stopping to examine each plant. She crouched to watch a bioluminescent flower open, reached to touch the petals of a floating moss, and laughed when a small alien insect crawled across her hand. "Careful," Sarath warned, though the caution was mild. She allowed Miri to explore freely. Dracanthi were careful with power and control, but today Sareth found herself yielding, letting the child lead, guide, and question. It was strange, and it was good. "This plant glows because it's happy," Miri said, peering closely. "I think it likes me." Sareth's sharp eyes softened. Humans often anthropomorphized everything, even life itself. Yet there was wisdom in it. The child found joy, and joy was a rare treasure. Midway through the morning, the Dragon Lady and Miri entered a quieter section of the station. The human library. Rows of books, terminals, and holoscreens filled the room. Miri's eyes lit up. "Oh, can we read? Can we read?" she asked, running to a small table. Sarath allowed her to pick books. Miri chose stories of space explorers, human inventors, and even tales of humans facing aliens in battle. She read aloud, her voice rising and falling. And Sareth listened. There was knowledge here, yes, but also spirit. Humans had survived countless wars, disasters, and challenges. They had endured, thrived, and built wonders beyond what the Dracanthi often imagined. When Miri finished reading, she looked at Sareth eagerly. "Did humans really do all this?" "They did," Sareth replied. "And they will do more. They survive because they refuse to give up, even when the odds are against them, even when it seems impossible." Sarath replied, "Even when it seems impossible." Miri's small fists clenched. "I want to be like them." "You already are," Sarath said. The words were simple, But for Miri, they meant the world. The little girl felt courage swelling inside her, just as the dragon lady had hoped. But not everyone was pleased with this unusual excursion. Messages appeared on Sarath's pad, urgent communications from Draconthi officials, human administrators, and even some alien ambassadors. They demanded explanations, reminded Sarath of protocol, and warned that such behavior could undermine diplomacy. Sarath ignored them all. She had a choice: follow rules or follow the heart. Today, the heart won. By afternoon, they reached the recreational area of the station, a place where children could play and humans could relax. Miri immediately ran to the climbing structures, dragging Sarath reluctantly behind her. The dragon lady bent, careful not to knock anything over, and allowed Miri to climb, swing, and explore. "Be careful," Sarath warned gently. "I'm fine," Miri shouted. "I'm brave." The statement was true in more ways than the child knew. Humans were not the strongest species, nor the most powerful, but their bravery was unparalleled. A tiny human girl could walk up to the most feared alien in the galaxy and ask for kindness. That was courage beyond imagination. As Miri played, Sarath noticed other humans watching from the sidelines. Some whispered in amazement, "She's holding the dragon lady's hand. She's not afraid. Maybe humans really can change the galaxy." And change the galaxy they did, if only in small ways. Humans had a spark, a resilience, and a daring that aliens often underestimated. Sarath had seen it before in battles and negotiations, but she had never seen it so purely displayed as in the little girl before her. After playing, they sat near a small artificial lake. Miri threw stones into the water, laughing at the ripples. "Do your people ever swim?" she asked. Sarath shook her head. "We do not. Water is dangerous for Draconthi. But we respect it." Miri thought for a moment. "I wish I could swim like humans do. It feels like flying in the water." Sarath smiled, a rare expression. "Perhaps one day you will teach me." The day continued with quiet lessons, explorations, and laughter. Miri learned about Draconthi customs, and Sarath learned about human ingenuity, kindness, and courage. When Miri asked about the stars, Sarath explained navigation techniques. When Miri asked about diplomacy, Sarath described negotiations, alliances, and the weight of leadership. Each lesson, though simple, carried a lesson about survival, bravery, and understanding. Then, late in the afternoon, an urgent alert appeared on Sarath's pad. A holographic message from the Draconthi Council demanded her presence. The Council's voice was sharp, full of authority and disapproval. They had learned about her day with Miri. They wanted answers, and they wanted them immediately. Sarath's expression remained calm. She had faced worse than Council disapproval battles, disasters, and betrayals. But nothing quite like this. Being challenged for kindness. Miri tugged at her wing. "Are they mad at you?" Sarath knelt, bringing her face close to the child. "They may be. But today I chose something more important." Miri smiled. "I'm glad." Sarath took the girl's hand and led her to the council chamber. Along the way, she thought about the lessons of the day. Humans were unpredictable, clever, courageous, and kind. They inspired hope, and they had the power to teach even the fiercest alien something new. As they entered the chamber, council members' eyes widened. A Draconthi ambassador had never appeared with a human child. Protocol demanded cold, distance, and authority. Yet here she was holding the hand of a small, brave human girl. The council hissed in shock, their disapproval palpable. Sarath's voice cut through the chamber like steel wrapped in warmth. "This human was alone," she said. "She asked for kindness." I answered, "This is not weakness. This is strength. This is what it means to lead, to protect, and to understand. Miri, standing bravely beside her, looked up at the council. She did not tremble. She had learned from humans before her. She had learned courage. And in that moment, both Draconthi and humans witnessed something rare. A small human teaching the galaxy's greatest warriors about bravery, hope, and the power of compassion. The chamber of the Draconthi Council was vast, high-ceilinged, and echoing, filled with golden light, reflecting off polished scales and the sharp eyes of dozens of elders. The council was not used to surprises, and yet here they were, Ambassador Sarathshka, the Dragon Lady, standing before them with a small human girl by her side. The crowd of officials murmured, their hissing voices echoing across the chamber. The lead elder's scales shimmered in disapproval. Ambassador Sarathshka, he began, his voice sharp like grinding stone. Reports say you abandoned your diplomatic duties to spend the day with a human child. Explain yourself. Now. Sarath's wings folded neatly behind her. Her tail curled protectively around Miri's feet. The little girl clutched her hand nervously, but Sarath's calm presence reassured her. She bent slightly to Miri's level and whispered, "Stay close. Speak, if you feel brave." Miri nodded, her small chin lifting. She was tired, but something inside her stirred. Humans had a way of showing courage when the stakes were high. And this was one of those moments. Sarath's voice rang clear in the chamber. This human child asked for kindness. I gave it. This is not a violation of duty. This is the essence of duty. To protect, to care, and to lead with wisdom and compassion. The council hissed, their multiple sets of eyes narrowing. Compassion is weakness. One elder snapped. You risk diplomacy, honor, and reputation for what? A human child? Sarath's golden eyes flickered, not with anger, but with intensity. Compassion is the greatest strength, she replied. This child has shown courage beyond what many of our ambassadors have in a lifetime. She is human, she is small, but her bravery, honesty, and spirit remind us that strength is not measured only in power, but in heart and action. Miri, encouraged by Sarath, took a deep breath. I was lonely, she said, her voice shaking but clear. I don't have a mom. I just wanted someone to care, someone to spend time with me. I didn't mean to make trouble. The chamber went silent. The elders had not expected a human child to speak, much less with such honesty. Some shifted uneasily, whispering among themselves. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but there was something undeniable about the courage in Miri's small voice. Sarath stepped forward slightly, her massive figure towering but not threatening. This child's courage is what we should honor. She shows a truth that even our council forgets, that courage, hope, and compassion are what unite species, not fear and suspicion. The lead elder hissed again, clearly displeased. But the council members began to murmur, some in agreement, some in surprise. Draconthi respected strength. And here was strength displayed not through weapons or diplomacy, but through courage and honesty. One elder, younger than the others, hissed softly. Perhaps she is right. Humans survive where many would fail. Perhaps this is wisdom in its own form. Sarath's gaze softened slightly. Indeed, humans may be small, but their hearts are vast. They endure, they adapt, and they inspire. They deserve acknowledgement, respect, and sometimes protection. Miri looked up at Sarath, eyes wide. Do you really mean that? Sarath nodded. Yes. And today, you have taught me, as well as my council, what bravery truly looks like. For a long moment, the chamber was silent. The lead elder's head tilted, his multiple eyes observing Sarath and Miri carefully. Finally, he spoke, his voice lower, less sharp than before. Ambassador, you have broken protocol. Yet, you have demonstrated a rare truth, that humans are capable of inspiring even the mightiest of us. Very well. This council will not punish you, but know that your actions will be debated for cycles to come. A ripple of relief passed through the chamber. Miri's small shoulders relaxed, and even some council members nodded subtly. They had witnessed something extraordinary. Human courage, combined with alien wisdom, had reshaped the expectations of the galaxy. Sarath lowered herself to Miri's level once again. The council has spoken. No harm will come to you, and they recognize the strength you displayed today. Miri beamed. Really? Really? Sarath said, her sharp face softening with the rarest of expressions. A smile. You have more courage than many ambassadors twice your age. The little girl's eyes sparkled. I'm proud. You should be, Sarath said. She paused, then added, and you should know something else. Courage inspires more than respect. It inspires change. Miri nodded, not fully understanding, but feeling the weight of the words. For the first time in her life, she felt seen, valued, and protected. Not as a human, not as a child, but as someone who mattered. After the council hearing, Sarath took Miri back to her private quarters. She carried the child gently, careful not to jostle her tired frame. Miri rested her head against Sarath's shoulder, her small hand gripping the dragon lady's claw. You were amazing today, Sarath said quietly. Even I did not expect the council to listen. Miri yawned. I just said what I felt. That's all. Bravery is always simple, Sarath replied. Simple, yet powerful. Later, Sarath prepared a meal for Miri. Something human and simple. Soft bread, fruit, and water. The little girl ate quickly, her small face lighting up with delight. Sarath watched quietly, sauntering, reflecting on the day. She had lived for centuries, navigating battles, politics, and war. Yet nothing had affected her as much as a single human child's plea for kindness. As the evening approached, Sarath led Miri to the observation deck one last time. The stars shone bright and endless, distant worlds spinning silently. The hum of the station seemed calm now, almost serene. Do you think humans can really change the galaxy? Miri asked softly. Sarath considered. Yes, they already have. You, for example, have shown that even the smallest humans can remind giants what courage, hope, and kindness mean. Miri smiled, feeling the weight of her smallness and the power of her actions. She understood now that even one voice, one brave act, could ripple across worlds. As the night deepened, Sarath wrapped her wings around Miri, letting the child sleep against her chest. The dragon lady felt a strange sense of peace, a feeling she had not known in centuries. The galaxy was vast, full of conflict and uncertainty, yet today had shown her that compassion and courage could change everything. The next morning, after Miri had eaten breakfast, Sarath made a decision. She would not return the child to the orphanage alone. The council had recognized the importance of their bond, and Sarath knew in her heart that she wanted to care for this human herself. She approached the council again, this time formally requesting to become Miri's guardian. The council paused, surprised by the request. A Dracanthy caring for a human? It was unprecedented. Yet the elders saw the truth in Sarath's words. Humans were capable of greatness, and their courage deserved acknowledgement. The request was granted. Miri clung to Sarath, laughing and crying at once. Really? You'll take care of me? Yes. Sareth said firmly, gently lifting the child. You will no longer be alone. You will have someone to guide you, protect you, and spend time with you. From now on, we face the galaxy together. News of the Dragon Lady's decision spread quickly through the station and beyond. Humans celebrated quietly, amazed that one of the most feared aliens in the galaxy had embraced them not as enemies, but as equals, capable of courage and inspiration. The story became a symbol of hope. Humans, small and often underestimated, could influence even the mightiest alien powers. Days turned into weeks, and Miri settled into life with Sarath. She learned about alien customs, diplomacy, and even basic Draconthi combat skills, though never to harm, only to understand and protect. In turn, Sareth learned patience, joy, and the pure, simple courage of a human child. Together, they faced the universe, not as conqueror and subject, but as teacher and student, guardian and child, friends and equals. One evening, as they watched a fleet of ships gliding past the station, Miri asked, "Do you think other humans will be brave like me?" Sareth smiled, her golden eyes shining. Yes, humans are brave. They survive, they endure, and they inspire. You are just one of many who will show the galaxy what it means to be human. Never forget that courage comes in many forms, and even the smallest act of bravery can change everything. Miri hugged Sareth tightly. I love you, Dragon Lady. And I love you, Miri, Sareth said, holding her close. Together, we will face the stars. Together, we will show the universe the strength of humanity. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers, wonders, and mysteries. But with courage, hope, and compassion, even a tiny human and a mighty alien could change the course of history. Today had proven it. Tomorrow held new challenges, new adventures, and new stories. But for now, the Dragon Lady and the little human sat together, watching the stars, knowing that the universe had never seen anything quite like them. And somewhere, across the station, across the galaxy, whispers spread. Humans are not weak. Humans are courageous. Humans are extraordinary. And the Dragon Lady, once feared by all, had become humanity's fiercest advocate, a symbol of the power of kindness, courage, and the extraordinary bond between two unlikely friends.